Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome back to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. You're in the right place if you're an agent, a team leader, a broker that's looking to work smarter, not harder. You're looking to increase the average sale price of a home you represent. Perhaps you're looking to break into selling more high-end and luxury homes, or perhaps you're already doing that and you're just looking for what I call the principle of slight edge, just something different. If you can learn one nugget off of each podcast that you actually implement, then your time is going to be a great return on your time, I should say. So that's our goal for you. So keep an open mind. My name is Michael LaFido, the host of this show. Again, you can listen to previous episodes on iTunes or Stitcher. Again, look under Luxury Listing Specialist, or you can just go directly to luxurylistingpodcast.com. Again, a couple free resources. Everybody likes the word free. If you'd like a free video checklist, a 56-point video checklist, an ultimate listing blueprint, and a free 3-part video series, get your smartphones out or write this down. You're going to want to text the word LUXE, L-U-X-E, to 72,000. So on your smartphones, dial in 72000 and send a text that message to that number, LUXE, L-U-X-E. We'll be asking you some information, then we'll drop you some freebies in the mail. Text LUXE, L-U-X-E, to 72000. Again, listen to previous episodes on iTunes or Stitcher. And last but not least, if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions on topics or you want to nominate a guest, go ahead and drop me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. Michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. I'm your host. I'm the founder of the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast, founder of the Luxury Listing Specialist Certification, and author of the book on Amazon, Luxury Listing Specialist. Each episode is different. We try to bring in different perspectives. Sometimes they're industry experts. In other words, they might be in the trenches. They understand the analytics, the data. Many times we'll bring in top luxury listing agents, marketing agents. Other times we bring in service providers, people that can help with the lead generation. Today's guest is just a wealth of knowledge, brings a lot of background, both in luxury, but more importantly now in research and just understanding a whole lot of different angles. And that's why I asked Dean to be on today's podcast. So, hey, Dean, are you still there?
Here. Hey, Michael.
Dean, pronounce your last name for us.
Yeah, Dean Cottrill.
Dean Cottrill.
Mm-hmm.
Being my last name LaFido, Dean, I get that butchered a lot. So Dean Cottrill here with T360, T360, which is a Stefan Swanpool company founded by Stefan. Tell me a little bit about T360.
Okay. Well, it's great to be with you, Michael. So T360 is the largest residential real estate consulting company in North America. So it's specifically focused only on the residential real estate market. We have several different divisions in consulting. I'm president of the Brokerage Division. We have a merger and acquisitions division, a technology division, a strategy division, and also MLS and associations, all run by very, very strong consultants, extremely knowledgeable. And so that's our Brokerage Division. We also have a publications group that we work through at T360. And the publications you've probably heard of, some of you might have heard of the Swanpool 200, which is the ranking of the top 200 industry leaders. The Swanpool Trends Report, which every year comes out and it lists the top 10 trends going on out in the marketplace to be aware of. And also the new one that came out just this year, and we're going to do it, it's going to be an annual. It's a Swanpool Mega 1000, where we rank the top 1,000 companies in the United States.
I've purchased that, by the way. That's a great product. Really big fan of the Mega 1000. So great job with that.
And we also have a big event every year. We do events and speaking engagements, but the event, we actually have a T3 Summit. It's out in the spring where it's invitation only. And it's not an advertiser kind of thing. It's all invitation only. Top 400 C-level executives from the real estate industry around the country. So, and that's run every spring. We bring in. It's just an area, an opportunity to meet with and hear about what's happening in the real estate market, and to help benefit and help those leaders be better and run better and more efficient and profitable organizations.
Yeah, so a lot of great data out there, a lot of great insight. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And, we talked about a little bit before we came on the air a little bit, various questions that we could talk through, and the listeners would benefit, Dean. But before we get into that, something caught my eye recently. You guys did a webinar on, I'm a big DISC personality. Anybody that listens, we talk about how to increase conversion a lot. We talk about DISC personality. And Dean, you did a flash webinar on the 4 agent archetypes. Why don't you share a little bit with what you're talking about with the 4 different agent archetypes and what went on there? And then if there's any, examples or a replay of the webinar, if you can share with us how they can, if they're interested, get more information on that, if you don't mind.
Sure, you bet. So one of the goals for us, and really any leader, I would say, is to really simplify real estate as much as we can. So more of the real estate practitioners, team leaders, company owners can run more efficient and profitable companies. So the 4 archetypes is some way where you can think about agents, real estate agents, and the 4 avenues of how to prospect, or areas to prospect in. And then depending on what those areas are in each one of those categories of the 4, what are the tools and systems needed in those, and what are some of the challenges that come about? So just if you can visualize a chart with 2 on the top and 2 underneath it, we talk about, on the right, we'll do warm leads. On the left is cold leads, and at the top is direct selling, and on the below that is indirect selling. So we then categorize them and we label them. The top was going to be on direct selling, and warm leads is the networker. We all have heard statistics of in this low 60% range, 63% roughly, of business comes to sales professionals from friends, family, past clients, customers, referrals. And so that's the networker, and that falls in that category. That's someone who's going to be requires relationships, being involved in the community, has an identity, and so that's the networker. And if we move down the chart, we move into the marketer. The marketer, it's also warm leads, and it's indirect selling, because in the marketer category, that's when you become like a niche market, like luxury, for example. You want to be a specialist in the luxury market. You you get the listing specialist certification through Michael, and you start specializing and marketing yourself such. You also could be the condo king or queen, as another example. I was in Annapolis, Maryland for a long time. There's a lot of waterfront right there, right on the Chesapeake Bay. There was agents that would specialize in waterfront. We had a Mr. Waterfront. So that's how they marketed themselves. So they created their own brand. They did a great job in generating business. And it was indirect, but it was warm because they're focused on a niche that they're very comfortable and confident in, and we're able to attract talent. If you slide onto the cold side, the indirect cold side, the converter, that's where you're going to, as example, it's where you list a property and you send out in a market that you're not normally marketing to. And you send out just listed cards, or you start going to a neighborhood or marketing into an area you're not familiar with. So that's cold. You don't know that market. You don't know those people. It's indirect. And that's the way you're trying to build your brand. It requires currency, meaning money, time. You need to have skills and dialogues. And so that's the converter side of it. And then the top left, when we're talking about direct selling and cold is the prospector. And the best way I say to describe this is that sales professional who puts the headset on and is just making calls. And they have a buyer for an area, for example, subdivision, and they're calling it specifically and looking and talking to homeowners about, I have a buyer looking for a home in your neighborhood. Are you thinking about selling now or in the near future? Or they're calling the first sale by owners out there. That's the prospector. And the goal of this for Archetypes is to find out, for everybody to think about, we talk about spinning plates. And spinning plates, you think about if you put a plate, like you think of a circus, you have a plate on top of a rod and you spin it. And if you don't spin it, what happens? It falls off and it breaks. So we suggest sales professionals have at least 5 spinning plates, areas that they're going to be focused on to drive revenue into their business. And so on those spinning plates, those areas of focus, where are they going to be? Well, the networker and the prospecting to friends, family, the sphere of influence, that should definitely be your first plate. Frankly, it should be your biggest plate because of the reasons I mentioned, that 63% of business on average goes there. And the other 4 plates, we encourage sales professionals to look at these other areas and to have not all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to spend all your time on the networker in that category because that could dry up at some point or be challenging in one year. So you want to have multiple areas that you're focused on. And by having the 4 archetypes, the goal is to see and show a sales professional what are the differences and the ways they can market themselves, and then what are the tools needed and the skills needed, and so they can perfect their trade and then go after those areas in the form of a spinning plate, an area of focus.
And that's a very, very good information. So you talked about the spinning plates. Sphere was one of those?
Sphere of influence, friends, family, people, and that's the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
And the other one, say, for example, a primary market. So that was how I was very successful when I first got into real estate. I got started as a sales agent back in 1990, shortly after coming out of college, and moved down to the Washington, D.C. market and didn't know anybody down there. Because I was born and raised and lived in Pittsburgh. So when I went down to the Washington, D.C. market, I had to start branding myself, marketing myself. I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't have friends and family in that market. And so I went about down the road of primary markets. So that's very important. As you know, in stress, Michael, and I agree, listings is the name of the game. You really want to focus on listings and drive listings. That helps promote and drive you additional business. It drives whether it's a single agent or the team or the company. So all those 3 groups should be focused on listings. And so primary market was another spinning plate for sale by owners, expired listings. It is social media marketing that you're going to do, investors. I'm just rattling off a bunch of different spinning plate options that you could provide to sales professionals and for them to kind of select which ones they want to go after.
And you mentioned sphere being 63%. How did that number come about?
That's an NAR statistic that I've heard in the past, and I want to confirm it, but it's typically I've heard it's in the low to mid 60s. Friends, family, past clients, customers, is agents as consumers working with agents, and it's been a very consistent number for many years. It's been in those low 60s of it being that. And you think about it too. Take a step back. I heard a story a long time ago about if a lady's daughter is getting married and it's very important, so she's the mother of the bride, and her hairdresser has something happen right before her appointment to go and get her hair done before the big wedding. She's not typically going to go and look through social media or go online and do a search for the closest, most proximity-wise, the closest place to get her hair done. She'll call somebody she knows and somebody she trusts who has great hair and ask her, who do you use? Because I need somebody. And so when someone goes to buy and sell a house, historically what's happened is they want to go to someone they trust, they feel comfortable with. If they don't know anybody that's already in the business, they'll talk to friends and family and say, who do you recommend? And that's why it's typically at the percentage it is. That's the number one way people find real estate agents.
Yeah, and I'd venture to say in the luxury space, it's even higher, right? So it's very difficult to penetrate that circle of trust. We talk about that during our seminars and our certification training. We say, I tell people, it's basically like Robert De Niro in Meet the Parents when he talked about the circle of trust, right? So it's tough to penetrate that. And
it's so true.
So
true.
So the four you did a good job describing the four archetypes of agents. It's very difficult without any visuals.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to, kind of see what this looks like or get more information on the four archetypes of agents, and by the way, is this better for broker owners and team leaders from a recruitment standpoint, or hey, just the everyday agent? It's good for them to understand the four archetypes.
I think everybody would benefit from it. We put this together and talking more to the team leaders. That's our focus at T360, and the brokerage division is helping leaders of teams and companies run more efficient, profitable companies. And so it was developed and designed for that. But even sales professionals will benefit from it as well and help them fine-tune their thinking of where they want to focus their efforts and energy, and it creates clarity on the challenges that come about from each group and what is required. So I encourage, and if you go to T3 Fellows, the letter T, the number 3, the word fellows, plural with an S, T3fellows.com.
F-E-L-L-W-O-S.
F-E-L-L-O-W-S. T3fellows.com. And you go to that website, you'll see about the Fellows program that we offer, that we run. And in there will be a bunch of webinars that are available to see. And one, it will be the 4 agent archetypes that will enable. And it's basically, I think this one's roughly a 10, 12-minute video, so it's not long.
Nice. So that's great. And for those of you that are driving or maybe can't listen, we will include a link on our podcast page. Again, luxurylistingpodcast.com. Or if you get our email, then we'll include a link directly to t3fellows.com. So great information, Dean. Thank you.
Great. You bet.
Hey there, it's Michael LaFido. Thanks again for listening to our podcast. If you are interested in signing up for our Luxury Listing Specialist certification, or if you want additional information on how you can dominate selling higher-end homes in your marketplace, make sure you go to luxurylistingspecialist.com.
So that was one of the things we wanted to talk about. I know you did some research for today a little bit, and, what are any specific business practices based on your experience or your relationship with some successful agents today? What are, some of the things that they might be fundamental, but or they could be advanced, but what are some specific business practices that you see successful agents exhibiting today, versus maybe 1990 when you got in the business?
Sure. Well, one thing I'll say for the listeners, my background for a period of time, I was in a leadership roles before I moved into consulting. So I sold homes for roughly 8 years, right around Washington, D.C., and then I moved into leadership roles. So I was a regional, then a president of a company, and then a larger company, and then even a larger company. In my last role, I was overseeing 60-plus offices, roughly a $10 billion sales organization, about 20,000 transactions a year. So it was a very big company. And I had a lot of really top agents, and we were in a lot of big marketplaces, such as the D.C. market, and you have different pockets around there, very luxury, Potomac, Maryland, Bethesda, Maryland, Old Town Alexandria. We were in the Annapolis market. We were at the coast, Ocean City, Maryland, Bethany Beach, Delaware. And then if you get down in the Carolinas, Charleston, Atlanta. So in those markets, I had the benefit of working with a lot of incredible professionals, real estate professionals. And to answer your question, Michael, what I found is in these top professionals in those markets and selling, they had tremendous systems. They also had a great ability of delegating to top professionals. And if I can just illuminate a little bit more on that, if you're an individual sales agent, you'd still have a quote team. You might not have people on your, specific group right with you as a team, but you have team members in the form of another party that supports you, whether it's the title attorney, the mortgage lender, the in-office staff, all those people are part of your quote team that support you and your business. And so that's one of the things they have. And so that's something I encourage you to think about marketing yourself that way. And that's your sweet spot, Michael. I don't want to throw that out, but you can actually think about putting these people around you and saying, here are these support people that help you and help that consumer, that buyer, that seller. They also, these top agents have very high standards, and they hold themselves to high standards, both personally and professionally, is what I saw. And I just, to take this and maybe for some clarity purposes, if you think about a new agent, especially to the luxury market, speaking specifically the luxury market, a new agent comes into business and they have no systems, very little knowledge, very little confidence. And I always say about the 2 C's, confidence and competence. So if they're not very competent in the business, and they have very little confidence because of the fact they're not that competent. And so they're very challenged. And for the idea, and I see the luxury consumer as the most demanding of all the consumers as an average, if you look at consumer groups, being that they have the highest expectations. They're, if you want to do a comparison, they're used to a higher percentage, more so as the normal person, of flying first class, for example, instead of coach. They're normal. The luxury owner is someone who is experienced high level of service and support. And so the agents that were so successful, they created, going back to my new agent and the most successful agents, have a high level of confidence, and they're very competent. They've created systems in place that allow them to duplicate their performance without having to reinvent the wheel. They see how it runs. They put a system in place. If you have to do something twice, you should create a system for it, and then meaning write it down and start working.
I'm real big into video. If you have to explain something twice or 3 times, you should probably create an educational type video. This way you can send it to your clients and have it transcribed and include it in an email, and just different ways of getting that point across.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I'm such a big fan of video and sending out in just messages, as if it's BombBomb or whatever vendor you might use out there. I don't want to sell any specific vendor, but whatever it is.
We're big BombBomb fans. It's okay.
Yeah, BombBomb's great, and it's something you send a short video, you explain something. Part of communication is critical in any relationship, whether it's personal or it's business. So if you're in a relationship with a consumer, buyer, seller, and you can communicate, for them to hear your tone of your voice and how your body language, that's so important compared to an email or a text message, because they can be so misread. So be careful I'm a big believer on video. So those are the kind of unique differences where you can help that luxury consumer and kind of take a step up, but take steps up compared to the average. And I had a top agent actually evaluated what they felt was the average performance of the average agent in the marketplace, what they provided, and then they wanted to take that up multiple notches above that. And they looked at each one as they look at the process of someone selling a house, for example, from the time you come out there and meet with them and what happens, they broke the whole process down into steps and then said, what is the average? And I want to exceed the average in every single area of this process.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. That's the kind of thinking that really exuberates. It comes to those, exuberate's not the right word. That's the kind of thinking that really these top professionals have brought about or bring about. And it kind of it motivates them to even take the bar even higher.
And so competency equals confidence or creates confidence. What did you say there?
Yeah. I would say, confidence and competence are the 2 biggest things. And new agents, I was always surprised because in the companies I ran, we would affiliate quite a few new professionals, new agents to the business. And I'd ask a group of new agents, and I'd say, how many people do you have? How many in here have someone looking to use you to buy and sell a house as soon as you get your license? And half the room, the hands would go up. And I would say, why in the world would somebody do that? Why would someone use somebody who doesn't know anything really about what you're doing? And the reason for, and I wasn't giving them a hard time, I was illustrating the point to them that that competence and confidence are the two important things, and trust is a big thing for the consumers, and that ties back into the networker and the 4 agent archetypes being that trust factor. These consumers trusted this friend so much that they didn't care that they weren't competent in what they were doing. So if you can take agents in working with strangers and working with people they don't know and marketing themselves, if we can take the new professionals and increase the level of their competence, their knowledge, their skills, then comes an elevation and increase in their confidence. And when you see top agents being successful in this business, it's the confidence is a big piece of it. They have the confidence to ride, because as we all know on this call, there are going to be days when you get beat up, you get knocked down, and you have to have that focus and that determination to pick yourself up and to keep moving forward. And part of that is keep pushing yourself to be the best you can be, and that confidence is going to come out, and people can sense it.
Yeah, Dean, I love it. I'm a former football coach, and I love your words of wisdom, because you're absolutely right. We do get kicked in the shins and other explicitives in this industry, and you have to pull yourself off the mat. To use a wrestling analogy, you're going to get knocked down, you got to get back up. And I use this term all the time: grow your knowledge, and your confidence will grow. That's one of the ways you can grow your confidence, right? Be more competent, understand the analytics, the data, understand how to articulate a particular message. I had recently, literally, I had a client that it's a $1.2 million home. It was on the market with another agent, and she was considering hiring me. And she ultimately went with another agent, which is fine. It happens. And I was actually kind of relieved, because she was overpriced. And I recommended that she stage. Well, she didn't. She went with this other agent. She fired this other agent within 2 months. And she's coming back to us because I'm very confident in our systems. And I articulated, but she just didn't buy into them. And so, really grasp and be able to articulate certain things. So this gal did not want to stage her home, and Dean, it totally needed to be staged. It was dated, very eccentric artwork, and then another thing that happened, which was kind of funny, is I gave her my stager's information, and she basically said, I'm not going to call your stager. I talked to my daughter, who's in a lot of $1 million properties, and she thinks my house looks great. And so I had to be able to articulate to her without saying, hey, your daughter's wrong, or getting personal. I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter what I think or you think. I personally like some of the things your daughter said, but I refer back to market research, and that's where, of course, T360 comes in with so much great research just overall with the real estate world. And that's where I'm going with this, is if you're confident, but you have the knowledge and you can be able to articulate something and cite certain examples or case studies and take your personal opinion out of it, referred back to the data and market research, your confidence will not only grow, but your conversion will increase.
Well, it's such a great point. And keeping calm and being confident and not getting emotional is so important also in sales, as we know. I always would say, and continue to, is when drama or emotions go high, IQs go low. And so you need to make sure you check yourself, and just like how you handle that situation is outstanding, because these top luxury consumers, they're typically strong personalities. They wouldn't be where they are without having some strong-mindedness of who they are and what they like. So when you walk in there, you have to have the level of confidence in what you're doing and what you're saying, and stand your ground. And that's what I found personally when I was selling my own, selling a house, a waterfront house in Annapolis, Maryland. Worked with my top agent down there, and she came in. I want someone who takes charge. Frankly, I don't have time to worry about it. I don't want to. And a lot of these luxury consumers, they don't want to take the time. They want someone to come in and do the job, but they want to do it soup to nuts, A to Z. And and so like coming in with a stager, doing a pre-home inspection, having doing some of the legwork like that, and doing maybe even an appraisal on the property, making sure we price it correctly, maybe doing a title search. You make all the things, and I'm sitting here as a professional person in the business. I'm in the business, but to someone who wasn't in the business, who owned a luxury home, they'd be like, you know what, that's why I brought you here. And that's to your point earlier on this call, which is to everyone listening. It's really important that you realize what you're worth, because people will luxury market consumers. Yeah, and people will pay you something if you stand for something, and they see the benefit
and they see the value.
Yep.
They see the value.
Yep.
Absolutely. Great information. There's so many people out there that want, just free information, and although you guys provide some great information, your Mega 1000 and their various reports, they're well worth it, and compared to some other great white papers that are out there, I didn't even blink an eye when I saw the price at the Mega 1000. I know you guys put so much time in. So, some really good information. So for more information on your company, do they just go to T360.com?
Yeah, you can go to T360.com or T360 spelled out .com. That's the company website. If they're a team leader or run a company and have some insight in getting some support, we always say if you want to, you're kind of going down this road by yourself. We do have a roadmap that we help team leaders and teams and company owners to be very successful and grow their businesses. Then you can go to the T3fellows.com. It's also on the T360.com. That's the website for the whole company. And then under the leadership tab, you'll see T3 Fellows. So they can go to T360, and that'll get them anywhere and everywhere they want to see about the company, or if they have more interest in the actual program that I run or involved with.
Okay. Very good. And if somebody wants to reach out to you, Dean, what's the best way?
Best way is on the website. You'll see my bio and my contact information is right there. Email is real easy. It's my first name, Dean, DEAN, at T360.com. So you can just shoot me an email, and I look forward to helping anybody. If they need help, just reach out.
Again, we try to bring in different guests that bring value, fill voids that agents are asking us about, and you guys at T360 are doing some great things. So thank you. Appreciate your time, Dean.
Well, appreciate it, Michael. It's been nice. Thank you so much.
All right, great. And again, just a reminder, if you're looking for previous episodes, you don't have to look too far. You can go to iTunes or Stitcher, look up Luxury Listing Specialist. Again, don't forget to text LUXE, LUXE, to 72000 for 3 free items. If you have any questions, send us an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. For more information on our certification, 14 modules. The first 7 are pretty much before the listing agreement. So how do you get more listing appointments? We work on the mindset, the systems, the marketing, the best conversion, best uses of video, best pre-listing packages, and best listing appointment secrets. That's part 1 of our certification. The remaining 7 modules, 8 through 14, are, hey, you got that high-end listing, that luxury listing, that difficult listing. What are best strategies to actually get it sold? That's what we cover in the second half of our certification. You can find out more at luxurylistingspecialist.com, luxurylistingspecialist.com. My name is Michael LaFido. If you have a success story, please share it with us. We love hearing those. Enjoy your day. Keep raising the standards and prove them wrong. Until next time, have a great day.